And we are live.
Hey,
Hey,
Joe.
Joe. Hey, Lisa. I'll just give these slow people a bit of time to come on up in the room.
Okay,
They know
good.
how we do.
So how
So
you
how you
been?
been? I've been good. You was the one stuck on the side of the road. How have you?
Oh, child.
Child. I
That's
said
all
every time.
whole.
I said every time Lisa's supposed to come on the platform, something happened.
But
But
honey, I'm
honey, I'm
here
here
today.
today. I know that's right. Hold on a second.
Okay, so it
Okay, so it
actually just
actually
popped
just
up on
popped
my
up on my
phone.
phone.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Y'all better come on up in here.
I'm about
I'm
to get
about to
rid
get
of
rid
this
of this
car. As
car.
soon
As
as you
soon as
pay
you
off a
pay off a
car, it
car, it
start
start
acting
acting
crazy.
crazy. Of course. That's the way it always does. All right, y'all. Tramel should be in the comments, controlling my comments for me.
Oh,
Like
he
I do
is.
for him. He is. Like I do for him. All right, we here. Hey, Monica. Hey, Blogs. Hey, Shar. Hey, y'all. Say hello to Alisa. I know her as Lisa, but Alisa, say hello to Alisa. They saying hello to you in the comments.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
everyone.
I spell
I spell
everyone wrong
everyone
in the
wrong in the
comments, but
comments,
y'all
but
get
y'all
it,
get it,
right?
right?
I'm
I'm
nervous.
nervous. Why you nervous? You got your own podcast.
That's
That's
true, but my
true, but my
podcast is
podcast is
not
not not
not video.
video.
It's just
It's just
audio.
audio. Right. But you've been live on Facebook. I've been watching you.
That's
That's
true.
true. I've been watching from the bushes.
With a
With a
knife.
knife. All right, with a knife. With a knife. Y'all, so let me tell y'all, I have known Lisa, I have to say 10 years, because you was at my 40th birthday party, and I'm going to be 50 next year.
But it was
But it was
longer than
longer
that.
than that. Yeah, it's longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've known Lisa longer than 10 years, and let me tell y'all, me and Lisa are like, I can't say friends, I have to say brother and sister. Because we have that relationship. We talk about each other and read each other, and all fun and joke. But in all honesty, I saw Lisa when everything went down with the whole Black Lives Movement. I saw a whole nother side of her that I didn't know existed. I saw a side of her that had a passion, a fire. I saw when you did that speech at the Black Lives Movement, I want to say in Virginia, and I was
Oh, so
so.
you
So you
have been
have been
watching
watching. Oh, I've been watching you from the
in the
bushes. In the I
bushes.
told you, I've been in the bushes. And I was
Okay.
so moved because it was like I was sitting on the edge of my bed, like, like, for me to know Lisa, it I didn't know that side of Lisa. You know how you always say you know somebody and then they do something, you be like, well, damn, I really didn't know them like I thought I did. That's how I
Hmm.
felt when I watched her talk, because her speech was simple but powerful, and that's what I like. I like people that can give you a speech that's not all loaded with big words and big everything, but very simple, but very powerful in the same time. And that's how her speech was. And at first, I could tell she was scared. So me being me, I'm looking there laughing like, go ahead, girl, go ahead, choke up on your words, do it, because I know you're scared. But then when she started talking, it was like, wow, I was so impressed. I never even told her this. This is the first time she's hearing me say this. I was so impressed that I was like, I said, Tremel, listen to this. I said, she's got to be on our platform. I said, we've been talking about stuff like this. I said, Elisa's the perfect person. And he told y'all today that when he talked out on the phone, he made
He make me.
checked to make sure he was registered to vote because he was scared. Hey, Charlene.
I never
Yes.
heard you say that before either. So I do appreciate that. You're about to make me cry for real, for real.
No, but it's
Cause you
true.
know,
Like, and then I watched some of her podcasts. Well, not necessarily podcasts. I watched when she's been on Facebook with other people, and they've been discussing the whole movement. And I'm like, oh my! Like, I was blown away. I was like, this is Lisa. That me and her sit around and make jokes and fun, joke around with each other all day. But like, it's so much more. So I'm
yeah.
so glad to have you here. She was supposed to be here before, but unfortunately, life events kept her away. But I got her tonight for Joseph Rants, because see, she rants like Joseph. That mouth is just like mine. So y'all already know. We both from Brooklyn, and Brooklyn people ain't got no, and we wasn't far apart from each other either. I was in the
Filter.
better part. I was in the better part of
Right.
Brooklyn, low key.
Whatever. Don't
But
start me, Joseph, because you already trying to trigger me. I'm not even doing that today, but I thank you for having me.
you are welcome. And y'all know this morning I told y'all that was the lead into what happened tonight. So if y'all saw Coffee with the Kings this morning, everybody said I was charged up and ready to go because y'all heard what I was saying about everything black and how I felt about certain things that go on in our community and how we need to change ourselves if we want to be better. And now I have an expert on the situation to discuss that with us
I
tonight.
don't know about an expert, but
Well, no, tell them, Lisa, tell them about your
I
podcast
have some
platforms and what
opinions.
you do. No, tell them all the stuff that you do
Okay.
for the movement.
Oh well, okay. My name is Elisa Milton. As you can see, I am the founder and CEO of the United Black Council, which is a grassroots organization out of Virginia. I also am a co-host of the Two Mics Up podcast, and I am an activist also.
So I told you, I got an authority on the situation. Now, we ain't going to start out with what I know triggered her the most. Or we can. We can start out with that. So why don't you give us your thought-provoking opinion on what just happened with Brianna Taylor's case?
I think that what happened with Brianna Taylor case was a total travesty. It was a um, disparage of justice. I think it was egregious. I think that Daniel Cameron is a sellout. Um, this woman was killed in her home on a fraudulent warrant that they said they obtained this warrant illegally by lying to the judge and saying that packages were being delivered to her home when the postmaster general testified that they have never said that. So that's number one. Number two is the person that they were looking for was already in custody. And you go on a no-knock warrant, and then at the last minute, quote unquote, you decide to announce and knock. So the story goes. But the original report says each and every one of those officers said that they did not announce at all. But as time went on, 12, 15, 16 days later, the story changed. She lives in a building where 12 neighbors said they did not hear an announcement. The person that they have corroborated with on this grand jury hearing, the one person, the one neighbor who lives upstairs, there are three statements from this neighbor that said he did not hear an announcement. But now, for whatever reason, he has changed his story and he heard an announcement that the police announced themselves. Kenny Walker, who is the boyfriend of Brianna Taylor, made a 911 call saying that someone is breaking into his home. So when you see or hear the 911 call, you do not hear any announcement. You hear the fright in his voice. Kentucky is a stand your ground state, a open carry state. So he was within his rights of standing his ground if someone is breaking into his home and firing a warning shot. But within him doing a warning shot, he uh I'm sorry. Are we getting an echo?
No,
You don't hear echo? Does the audience hear echo?
I don't think so because they would have said it by now.
Okay. Probably because we're in close proximity. Um, so, he was able to fire a warning shot within the realms of the law. He doesn't have a criminal background, and neither does Brianna Taylor. There was no drugs, there was no money, there was no package found in the home. But with him firing the warning shot, there was reportedly 30 something shots that were shot into the home. Yesterday, Daniel Cameron said that they cannot verify through ballistics that Kenny Walker's bullet was the bullet that hit the actual police officer. But, however, Kenny Walker was arrested and charged with attempted murder until this case went national. There is so much cover up going on and corruption going on in this case, it is overwhelming. There are police reports that says there was no injury. Breonna Taylor laid on her floor, bleeding out. No one rendered aid. There was no ambulance call until 25 minutes later. So this whole situation reeks of cover up. It's messy. It's sloppy police work.
Right.
And it's illegal. That's that's number one. You killed her, and they said that the officers were justified because Kenny Walker shot a warning shot. Now, the state of Kentucky law says, according for the police, that if they are engaged in forcible behavior, as far as meaning someone shoots at them, they have the right to return fire, but it is illegal for them to return fire on a third party. That's written into Kentucky law. Brianna was the third party. She didn't have a gun, and she was no threat. She was in a nightgown.
Right.
So Daniel Cameron, what he did was he presented the grand jury, and this is my opinion only, with what he wanted them to see so that they can come back with just what they did. No justice at all. Because it is common knowledge that a prosecutor says, I can indict a ham sandwich if I want to, because that's how the indictment goes. The evidence is only produced by the prosecutor behind closed doors. So now we're asking to release those records so we can see, because did you even bring up manslaughter? Did you bring up murder for Breonna Taylor? Did you bring any of the evidence? The 12 neighbors that said that they didn't hear anything? Did you bring any evidence forth to say that Breonna Taylor could get justice? And he did not. What his speech was yesterday was a interview for a higher position. That's what his speech was.
Right.
It had nothing to do with justice. And it had nothing to do with him noting that he is a black man. We can see, we have eyes, but every skin folk ain't kinfolk.
But isn't he dating Mitch McConnell's niece or
Yes,
something
they're
like that?
married. Yes. Yes,
Right.
he was at the
So
RNC, so he gave at the Republican National Convention, he gave, a speech. He's endorsed by the police unions. So we already did not have any faith because it took 6 months for this to happen. And it was so funny that it comes out months, a few days, because what are we, 35, 39 days away from the election? So it was a political move. He politicized it.
Right, and they gave the family money to keep them quiet.
Well, I don't know if they, because they did put a lawsuit against the police department. The family did sue the police department. I don't know if they gave them money to keep quiet, because certainly they're not quiet. I just think that they settled out of court. Not sure if Brianna Taylor's mother has been through enough and she didn't want to open court case. I don't know, but I hear people saying that, they gave them money, but I don't think that that was the case. I think that they settled the wrongful death suit early so they could get to this point. Because if you paid $12 million and agreed that she died wrongfully, then why don't we have an indictment?
Right. I totally agree. So my next thing is going to be, my next big question to you is, and this is where I lost people this morning. My next question is, what do we do as a people to change the way the police force and the laws in general are treating us as a people? My thing has always been, in order for them to treat us better, we have to do better, meaning for ourselves and with ourselves, for them to take us seriously. Because somebody told me about a situation where there was a shooting in their neighborhood, and when the maintenance man came, who was white, he looked at her because she was black and said, "Oh, Black Lives Matter, huh? That's why the black people was out here shooting each other." And that's the way a lot of them feel. And I always said, we can't expect better until we do better. Like, you can't say, "I want a husband," and be out here screwing every man that come your way if you're looking for a husband. At some point, you have to stop what you're doing and prove that you want a better, you want something more. So what do you say as people we need to do to get the respect and gain the respect and make them see that we're serious when I mean, we can burn down everything, we can riot, we can burn down everything. They still gonna look at us the same way. But they know we mean business when we do it, but at the same time, they're gonna look at us the same way. What do we as a people, what do you think we as a people need to do to change that for ourselves? Because we good at blaming other people for everything that's going on with us, instead of sitting back sometimes and saying, what are we doing wrong, while they don't seem to see what the problem is?
I agree and I disagree. And let me just say this, and let me just say why. Because it does not matter what you do. You can be upright, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, but this country was founded on racism. The ideals of this country is racist. So the color of your skin, the color of your skin is demonized and weaponized regardless of what you do. So that part about what can we do for them to respect us, we can't worry about what how they're going to look at us. Only thing that we could do is fight for what is under the Constitution, that says one nation under God, right? And
Right.
that we the people, that we are to be treated equally. That's it. We cannot change anyone's mind about a racist mind and racist ideals that is embedded in this country.
True.
Now, as far as our behavior in certain areas, I don't condone the way, and there are other activists that's on the ground fighting gun violence. But to understand where we at as a people, you have to understand the history. I'm not making any excuses for anyone who acts a fool in the street, right? But when it comes to poverty and violence go hand in hand.
Right.
right? We know that white people use drugs at the same rate that we do. They commit crimes at the same rate that we do. However, we are highly publicized in the media when it comes down to it. Do we have problems in our community? Yes, we do. But we are also divided in our community, right? So if we can unite and put our egos at the door of the revolution, then we can go further than even expected, right? Because in our society, we have classism, we have colorism, we have people that don't even like you or your community, right? Within our own community,
Yep.
right? So we got
Yep.
those type of issues, and then we have a lack of education and a lack of economics. So that is also a cesspool that draws the negativity that we come from, because we both come from the same neighborhoods,
Right.
even though you think you from wherever else. But you know, we come from these marginalized areas,
Right.
and we do have to do better. We do have to do better, but we have to do things for ourselves, because we
So,
waiting for somebody to give us something,
so I
and
want
they
to ask
not.
you a question because you just now made a good point. What made it different for me and you that we didn't succumb to where we grew up? Because let's be real, we grew up in the hood. We grew up in the straight up hood. Right now, you should have about 7 kids. I should have been locked up at least 7 times or in jail right now. And neither one of us became a product of our environment. So, what do you think, or how do you think we can do that for most of the people living in those neighborhoods? Because, see, I don't think it's the neighborhood that's the problem. I think it's the ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean people being stupid. I mean ignorance of people not knowing that there is a better way, that there is a better way than what they think. I think they just want the gratification and the success now instead of having to work for it down the line. So, what do you think? How do you think everything you just said? How do you think we change our mindset and the next generation's mindset to realize that there is a better way other than the way they're choosing to take now?
I think it's education. I think it's education. I think for me and you, education was a big key for us, and our household was a big difference, right?
Right.
So, opportunities that maybe you and I had, our neighbors don't have, right?
Right.
So, it's all about opportunity. But when you have these marginalized communities that where we come from, we do not get the best of anything, right? We don't get the best educations, right? And the reason why that is because schools are funded mostly throughout the country by property value. So your property taxes really go to the school system. But when
Right.
you come from areas like us, we don't have property value. So we get federal funding that is constantly cut, because your education doesn't mean anything as opposed to someone who lives in a different zip code.
Right.
Um, so that's a huge uh, reason, because education, like you said, ignorance, when you know better, you do better. We did not grow up, Joe, seeing doctors. We didn't have neighbors that were doctors. We didn't have neighbors that were lawyers. We didn't have any professional neighbors that we say, oh, Mr. So and so, he works at the hospital, or this one that. That's not our reality, and
No,
that's
me,
not
I
the
didn't grow up with no
reality.
neighbors that were.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not
Right.
our reality. So if we don't see that, we moved out of the area and was exposed to a whole new world,
Right.
right? So thinking like, oh wow, this is different. You know, now I have these kind of neighbors. Now I live in these kind of areas. You know what I mean? That we never would have thought was possible. But because we were afforded opportunities, we were able to make that move. And not everybody is afforded that opportunity.
Right.
So then what do you do? Because who is the shiny person on the block? Who is the person that got what you don't have or what your mom can't give you? Who's that
Right.
person?
I used to tell my mother all the time. I'm like, how come I don't have a leather coat and all these kids who mother on welfare got leather coats? I want a leather coat too. And that's when she sat and told me, well, they have leather coats because their mamas don't work for them. It's easy for them to go and buy them. I have to work for my money. And she explained it to me because I didn't understand why these kids whose mother sat home all day had more stuff than I did. And my mother, I knew my mother was working every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a double-edged sword. And like when I realized as I got older, for me and my sister, I thought everybody would go on a vacation to Florida. And everybody went to a mall and got off the block. And then when I'm meeting people that told me they ain't never been out of the project past Broadway or Graham Avenue, I'm like, are you serious?
No,
You
it's
never been
real.
there? You never been there? So it made me, I've gone to my mother plenty of times before she died and said, I love you. I so appreciate you. Because when I talk to other people from my environment that I grew up in, I realized where I'm thinking as a kid, I don't have enough or I want more. I realized some people didn't even have what I'm considering a little bit of something back
That's
then.
what I'm
Now,
saying.
as I got older, I realized it was a whole lot of something given the situation. But as a kid, you just thinking everybody doing what you doing, everybody going here, everybody doing this. Like most kids, their trip to the zoo was when the school took them. We would go to the zoo with my mother every other weekend, or whenever she wanted to take us out and do something with us. And for me to find out that there was people that I met in the course of my life that have never been out of New York or never been off their block, it was like, seriously? Like I had to wrap my
Right.
mind around that. Like, are
Right.
you serious?
So
You
then now
saying, right?
but like I said, it comes down to your household and your opportunities. Not everybody had that. And
Right.
or right now has that. So the shiny leather coats go away, right? When you get a
Right.
certain age and all of that. But who has the cars? Who has the boombox when they rolling up with the rims? What person has that? It's the drug dealer,
Right.
right?
So how do you think well, how do you think we get our own people? Like Tremel always tell everybody read the Willie Lynch letters. Because if you read the Willie Lynch letters, a lot of what they say in the Willie Lynch letters are things we do as black people to ourselves that was embedded in us from slavery. So how do you think we get past that? And how do you think we educate each other to get past that? Because we are our own saboteurs in certain situations. Not all. I'm talking about when it comes
I
to us
agree.
and dealing
I
with us.
agree.
We are our own saboteurs. But then you have black people that don't want to hear that. Oh no, that's not true. Like they sweep the little child molester under the rug in the family. They want to sweep the truth under the rug in their family because they like when I go and I make posts about how I don't want to fight for Black Lives Matter because my gay life doesn't matter to black people. The first thing they want to say, that's not true. That's not, yes, it is true. It's very true. You call me the F word. You tell me I'm going to hell. But yet, when I put it out in the open, you want to sit and say, act like I'm saying something that's not true. And it is true. We tend to sweep things under the rug. So how do we take all that we're sweeping under the rug because we don't want to face it? It's not nobody else. It's us. We don't want to
We
face
got to
the
pull the
fact
rug back. Damn that. The
about our
rug got to
saboteur
go.
and fix the things that's wrong with us. And that's kind of what my live was about this morning. Fixing
Hmm.
the things that are wrong with us. And some people got offended, but I don't
It's
care because
okay.
that's what I'm talking about. We need to talk about us sabotaging us and fix us before we can try to fix anything else in the world. We need to fix us. We are the only race of people that can never find unity. And the only time we find it is when one of us get killed by a cop.
But
Then all
see,
of a
I
sudden we kumbaya and everything else under the sun. But we the
well,
only race that does that. White people will stick together no matter what. Chinese people stick together no matter what. Latino people stick together no matter what. Not black people. Oh, she. Look at what they did to make the stallion. They didn't have a problem that a black man shot her in the foot. It was what did she do to get shot in the foot? That's the first thing. Even when a black person died, well, what did he have? It don't matter what he had. He dead. Do you got a cure for what killed him and bring him out the coffin? We always want a reason and an excuse and want to know stuff instead of just saying, "Wow, that happened. Let's do something about it." You know what I'm saying?
right. I get it. I think that you're right. We need to take a good hard look and have a good hard conversation. I remember our conversation when you told me, I don't agree with that because black people don't treat gays correctly. The LGBT community, and I was kind of hurt by that. But when you shared the details and how you felt, it educated me, even though I don't have any bias against the LGBT community. I just was shocked that you said that. But you educated me on my feeling, and that is the key, right? That is the key to everything is self-awareness. Everybody is not going to agree. But here's the deal. If we're going to fight this fight, we don't have time for any differences that divide us.
Exactly.
I do not care how many people you sleep with, if you're a polyamorous or you are LGBT community, you straight, whatever. That's none of my business. Our egos need to be left at the front door of the revolution. I could care less if you are Muslim or if you are Jewish or if you're Christian. I don't care if you make $100,000 a year or you working for $10 an hour. That's not my concern. What should bind us is the color of our skin, and we let these differences come between us. And this is why we have this crab in a barrel mentality. And as far as the gun violence and everything like that goes, that again, poverty and violence is synonymous, right? So education is the key, and people have to stop. They count on us being complicit. They count on us not going to these council meetings. They count on us locally not going to the school board funding meetings. The same way that you in the street on Black Lives Matter, you need to be in front of the board of education getting that money that your children deserve. But we're so used to not getting anything or not having anything, we kind of be complicit as a people because we don't expect nothing. Right? This is why my post the other day was like, we're in an abusive relationship with the United States of America, right? Because black people are used to being at the bottom of the barrel. We're used to getting and scraping by and just making it, coming out of these communities. We used to subpar education, and subpar health plans and low economics and things like that. Because we've been cut out of all of these things for so long, it seems normal.
Right. Now, this is another touchy subject.
Don't start me. I'm trying to be nice.
Getting the orange Cheeto out of office. There's a lot of us sitting back saying, I ain't voting. I don't like Biden. I don't like Camilla. I'd rather not vote. It don't matter. My vote don't matter. What do you have to say in regards to that?
I tell people all the time, I understand. I understand, but here's the deal, right? Biden wasn't my choice. Kamala wasn't my choice either, right? I'm a Stacey Abrams kind of girl. You know what I mean? So
Right.
this wasn't my choice. But when you see what is going on with this person that's occupying the White House, you see that he's slowly catapulting us as a country into an authoritarian regime. He violates the Constitution. He does what he wants to do. Now he's trying to deem Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. He has in Portland arrested, he had Border Patrol agents come to Portland that were not equipped or did not have instruction, putting people in unmarked cars, charging them with federal offenses for not following a federal demand to get on the sidewalk. And the only way that they could get out of jail was to sign an affidavit saying that they will not protest again. So when you see that your rights are solely being diminished, not that we have a lot of them anyway. So that's why protesting is so big for us, because we're able to do it. But now you're trying to take that away. So when you see this kind of dictatorship situations going on, because that's a violation of your rights to, you have a right to peacefully assemble. So when you see that and you see him deploying tear gas on protesters, where tear gas has been banned by NATO in war. And when you see him trying to put American soldiers against American citizens on American soil, we have a problem. I don't like Joe. I don't like Kamala. I get it. I get where people are coming from. But here's the deal. You have to vote for the greater good. Because if you think we fighting for our rights now, he's already put a bid in for a third term. Because his best friend Putin has just done that. So he's in office till 2034. And his on and off again relationship with the president of China, he just did that in June of this year. So he's in forever too. So he's trying to follow that type of regime, and Americans think that this is impossible, you know. But Roosevelt was in for for 3 terms, so we can't say that this has never happened.
Right.
We have to be diligent. So even if you feel like you don't want to vote, because you don't like Biden or you don't like Kamala, that's fine. How about you vote for the greater good of the movement?
True. And do you think it's like what Jamel was talking about today? That people are voting more so for their party as opposed for the person?
Yep. That's how he got in. Most Republicans don't like him, and he don't like most Republicans. His base is, he's done nothing for his base, but they don't care. They don't care as long as they can hold on to white nationalism and their supremacy. They don't care anything about the issues.
Right. Trisha asked you a question in the chat.
Okay.
She said, "Do you feel free?"
No. I don't feel free. I don't feel free at all, because my freedom equals equality to me. My freedom and the freedom of my people equal equality under the Constitution. And we are not equal systemically throughout this country. So I don't feel free. But what I do feel is that we are able to live, and we are able to pay our taxes and contribute to the economy. And as long as we play along to get along, then we're okay. But as soon as we have an incident, you will see that your freedom is actually not free, because it is in jeopardy at any given moment. You can lose your life or be locked up. You know how many people in jail?
Yeah.
We're fighting for this. We're fighting for. This is heartbreaking. We're fighting for a man out of Michigan. He's been in jail since 1994. He sold, he got caught selling a pound of marijuana. This man is now 64 years old and he's fighting COVID. Just buried. I have someone here in Virginia Beach, a young man. He is autistic and he has Asperger's. He was in a car accident in a parking lot. He hit a parked car and he freaked out. So he started driving recklessly and he had a car accident. No one died at all.
What's his name?
His last name is Rushin, Russian.
I think that's who Daryl Moore is always trying to fight for on his platform.
Listen, they gave this man 40 years. But then his white counterpart had a car accident, killed two people, was under the influence of drugs, and he's home. So we know that the disparities in the justice system is totally off. So no, I don't feel free. I'm only one incident away from losing my freedom because I won't be afforded the same rights as my white counterparts under the law.
Right. That's true. And it's like me and Tramel joke about what happened. We was having an argument and he yelled help out of the window. And because we live around a bunch of Karens. So Karen took it as the opportunity to call the police. And the police was here in 5 seconds flat. And of course, 2 white officers pulled up. So I'm like, oh God. So I go to the door, they talking. The only thing that saved us, and this is sad to say, but when it's LGBT related, they don't care. Right, and when they saw our picture, because when you first come in, we have like a wedding picture of us. And they saw us kissing, and I said, this is my husband. We were just having an argument. It was, oh, okay, well, then go ahead and kill yourselves. They told him they would come back and check. They never even knocked on the door. They just put the police report in the mailbox. And I was like, bet you won't do that no more in this climate with 2 white cops coming to the door.
Right, because that could be potentially a fatal situation.
Right. Because I guess he thought we were in a black neighborhood where black people get help and they just sit at the window and say, oh, somebody get hurt. No. I said, them Karens was waiting, honey. Ooh, it's 2 black people fighting. Y'all better get over here quick.
Right.
Because a child, I ain't never seen the police come so fast in my life.
And I live in Virginia. I live in between Stafford and Fredericksburg, Virginia. I live in Stafford County, but I live in Fredericksburg, and it's real down here.
Yep.
It's serious.
I remember when I came to your house, woman, and they called the cops on us.
Yes, absolutely, that's right.
For no reason whatsoever.
Child. And that's the situation.
Quiet, turn off the music, be quiet.
Yep.
Don't say nothing.
Yep, and I had to go out there, because they were wanting to come in. You're not welcome here. There's no crime being committed here. How can I help you? That's a neighbor that called the police. What do you want?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that happened twice. They came twice that night.
I remember.
And then we had to go on downstairs and to have a little chat with the neighbor.
I remember. Take it off. Yes, but if y'all have any questions, y'all can type them in the chat. If y'all have any questions for Lisa or me, type them in the chat. This is question and answer time.
Okay. Let me gather.
I'm so proud of you. You've been so good. That mouth's been good.
I told you I come a long way in my old age.
I know, me too.
You ain't. See, I almost cussed. I almost
Me
cussed.
too. I've come a long way in my old age.
Mm-hmm.
I try. Y'all, Lisa have been there with me through all those stories I tell you about how I hit rock bottom and when my kidneys went dead. Lisa was there for all of that with
Mm-hmm.
me. So I'm sure, like everybody else, when she see me now, it's like that's a whole different Joe.
No, I don't think that.
Cause I was, I'm still a little sorry, miserable person I was back then.
No, you not. No, actually, on that note, you are definitely very happy. So I'm grateful for Tramel and the transformation in that aspect. Yes, definitely. Very, very happy for that. You can tell you happy.
Oh, so you do love me.
Of course. You get on my nerve, but I love you.
Norman said, "Why do you think some black people support Trump?"
I think that they support him for a couple of reasons. One is the financial hope, right? Because they think that he is a good business person, he's a millionaire, and they aspire, not really knowing he's a trust fund baby. Not one of his companies have ever generated any real money. That's why he won't release his taxes. And secondly, I think that people, Christians, uh, evangelical blacks, vote Republican because of that issue.
See, that was the nice answer. Because y'all know I told y'all this morning it's because of self hate, honey.
Is what?
This morning I said black people and everybody of different races that vote for him is because of self hate.
Yeah, that could be it too. You know, some people are ashamed of being black and don't want to be associated with the culture,
Like Miss
of black
Candace
culture.
Owens.
See, now that's a trigger.
Miss Candace Owens.
That's a trigger. She's doing that for money and she's doing that for clout. Because when her ass was being discriminated against in school, she was definitely filing, discrimination, racial. She was shouting racial discrimination charges when her edges was rolling in the back when she ain't have no gel. But we gonna move on.
And what about Charles Barkley?
I think that Charles Barkley is an opportunist. I think that Charles Barkley has come to a certain level in his life, so he just doesn't identify. You have people, that's what classism is. You reach a certain level in life and your ear is no longer to the ground. Like me and you, we still very much connected to Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Right.
We very much, even though we're not there, we are still very much connected to the people there. We understand. We haven't forgotten. We know where we come from and we know what's left behind. That is nothing but poverty and despair. We
That's
didn't
true.
know how poor, even though my mother worked and your mother worked, we didn't realize how poor we was until we left.
Right. Right. Because all I knew as a kid was I want, and she made it happen.
That's it.
It's sad, and we got to do better. We have to do
We
better. We
do.
have to figure out a way to do better for ourselves and amongst ourselves. We really do.
But we have to start getting together because unity, somebody, I did go back in the chat. Somebody said, what does unity look like? Unity, people think that all 43 million of us are going to just unify and come up out the ashes like the phoenix. That's not going to happen.
No.
Unify in your circle, right? Unify and reach out to others that may be related to people that's in your circle and form your own advocacy, because these are how things come up out of grassroots, right? Form your own, whatever your your issues are at this very moment. If criminal justice is running rampant or that's your passion, and you align yourself with like-minded people, then you move forward. If group economics is your thing, or if like getting your local school funded, something as simple as getting your local school funding. Now we come from Brooklyn, and this is just an example. So the schools look different, right? In Bed-Stuy, where you come from, in Brownsville, where I come from, they look alike. But when you go out to Brighton Beach, when you go out to Bensonhurst, when you go out to Sheepshead Bay, those schools are well funded. You know why? Because those people are not having anything less than what they know they're entitled to. So it is just simple. The littlest things, as far as getting what you need in your area. Fight for what you need. Hold these crooked councilmen that come and suck the blood and the money out of our communities.
It's not that the voting process just don't happen just for the president, and that's the part a lot of people are missing. That they just want to go run and vote for the president, but they don't vote for the other seats in Congress and seats in the Senate and other things like that. They just
And
want to
locally.
pop up, right? They just want to pop up when it's president time and think that that's gonna make a difference. But like
But
what
they
happened with
bank on
Obama,
that.
you
They
had
bank
him in
on us.
there as a Democrat. The whole everything else was Republican. So everything he tried to do, they voted against him. As with Trump now, he kind of having that problem, but not so much. Because he just bypassing everybody saying, I'm going to do what I want to do, however
Well,
I
he
want to
got
do
Mitch
it.
McConnell, so
Right.
he's good. But locally, they count on these communities, and they count on marginalized communities not coming out to these things. Now, this is one thing when I'm speaking and I'm speaking to people, is I always refer to the LGBTQ movement, the whole movement as a whole. And I always shut down naysayers with this. One, you cannot be mad at a group of people that funnel their money together and lobby for their interests. You can't be mad.
Have a whole lot to say about that too, since I am
Come
part of that
on,
little
teach
system.
me.
But in that surrounding, and I think I shocked a lot of black people when I said this. It's no different. They treat black gays the same way white people treat black people. Y'all don't realize that they treat us the same way. There's no difference. You think that they would be different because they know what it's like to be to be ridiculed and be different, but they treat us the same way. So I have two fights. I have a fight to fit in the black community with my own black people. Then I have to fight with the white people in both communities, in the straight one and the gay one, to be accepted by both. And that's why you have black prides and black gay prides, because they don't make it for us to fit in with them. So we have to separate and give ourselves. So it's no different than with regular everyday life. They treat us the same way, and that's why you don't find a lot of black gays on the front line with them protesting and walking down the streets with them, and because it's like, for what? Y'all ain't doing nothing for us. Y'all worried about yourself. It's not us as a whole you worried about. It's your little white lives that matter in that situation. And you would think, because we are all LGBTQ and they know what it's like to be discriminated against, they wouldn't do it to us, but they do it to black people too. So it's like black people can't win either way. We can't win when we gay and lesbian, and we can't win with people in general in the regular world. So it's like black gays have it double time. We get discriminated against in the real world, and we get discriminated against in the LGBT world.
But
And
do you benefit from you're
that's
married
see,
legally?
that's what I'm saying. In the end, we benefit from what they're doing, but when we want the same rights, or we go to them and try to get help, They push us. It's just no different. They'll push
Right.
us to the side and
Right.
help the white counterparts first, and then whatever's left over we can have. They're
Mhm.
not gonna go out their way to really help us the way they
Mhm.
would Bobby and Billy. Joseph and
Right.
Jamel gotta wait to the back till whatever's
Mhm.
left over they can have that. But Bobby
Mhm.
and Billy gonna get the first go around of everything we got good, and they get the scraps. So that I mean,
Okay.
yes, we benefit from what they're doing. I'm not gonna say that because yes, we all benefit from it. If you leave it to me, if they had their way, they'd say only white gays, just to sock it to us, but they know they can't do that.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is, and I try to tell people, it's no different. Like a lot of people think because it's LGBT, because a lot of them, and I get mad at them. They'll try to say the struggle is the same, and I'm like, it's not the same. I can walk anywhere, and nobody has to know I'm gay. They know because I want them to know. But I can never not go nowhere and somebody not know that I'm black. So don't
Exactly.
ever say it's the same thing. Because I could always
Exactly.
hide my gayness and put it away for the moment. But I can't never hide my blackness. I can't
Right.
never walk somewhere and pretend like I'm white. Because at the end of
Right.
the day, they're going to look at you. You know you black, right?
Right.
I don't care what color contacts I put in, what color I dye my hair. They know that I am a black man. Period. But I
Do
can
you,
walk in the room. You don't see me in action, deep in this voice, with a
I hate
hat
when
to
you
the
do
back.
that. Don't even do it because I
And
hate
they
that.
think
I hate
that
when
I'm
you
a
do that.
typical thug from Brooklyn and won't know the difference.
But so do you feel like you do you feel like things are changing towards the LBGT community in the black community? Do you, because I see younger people that really don't care. I think the generational thing is
They don't
cycling
care.
that out.
They don't want to listen to the ones of us that are older. They think we stupid and we want to live in the past. And we try to tell them it's because of me that you can walk down the street and be free. It's because I was doing it in a time where it wasn't okay to do it. Why you can do it now, and other people before me did it, and why you can do it now, they don't want to hear it. Um, I think more so now, like they have the gays for Trump. Like, really, seriously, really, like he want to take away all the rights Obama got you, and you sitting there gays for Trump. Like, really,
Right.
it's just it's. I think a lot of people get it confused and misconstrued because you see a lot of white people like that are married to black gays or black lesbians, so you think, oh, it's all unified, and no, that's just them. And even with them, a lot of them are not out on the front line fighting for black rights. They're fighting for gay rights.
I
So it's
get it.
like, you know what I'm saying?
I
It's
get
not
it.
it's not it's the same. Black people in a whole, we just screwed all the way around when it comes to white people. Because no matter where we are in the spectrum, we just screwed. They just don't see us as
That's
an
human.
equal counterpart.
Right.
I mean, it's just we just don't get seen as equal counterparts on either side of the spectrum. It's
Right.
always we're less than, or there was a club in San Francisco. I forgot the name. That they were actually grinding up glass, putting it in black gay men's liquor because they didn't want them there. So they was trying to kill them and cut them up on the inside.
Wow.
They don't want us in their clubs. They don't want us. They if we can come in, it's only 1 to 2 of us. That's it. They don't want a bunch of us in their clubs. They try to keep us away. They try to keep us at bay as much as they can. And then the ones that do want us there is because we're Mandingo. And, they're going to get their little sexual thrills for the night. Now, I'm not going to sit and say that some of them are just not naturally attracted to us and love us. Because they do. But those are far fewer than between. The
Right.
majority of them are fetishizing us, and that's what they want us for. And they make no qualms in letting you know that's all they want.
Wow. So the struggle is real on either side.
Either side, the struggle is real.
I thought that we were getting better as a people with being acceptance to our black and lesbian, gay, brothers and sisters, and trans. I thought that we were getting better as a society, as a people, because we can't win this thing, right, with any of this. Because if you willing to say, hey, Lisa, I'm ready to advocate, I'm ready to join, I'm not going to turn you away because of your sexual orientation, your religion, your economic status, your
Well, see,
education status. Why is that an issue?
but see,
Because your skin is going to
that's
demonize you anyway.
but see, that's the part that is not the problem. Because see, they won't turn us away when it's for Black Lives Matter. But then, if something happens to one of us, they don't stand there and fight for our right. It's, oh, well, that was God's way of fixing them because they were gay. Or, oh, well, if it's a trans woman, you know how many trans women are killed
Yeah,
nationally in
yeah,
a year? And
yeah.
black trans women and don't nobody give two damns because, oh, well, she probably didn't tell nobody she was a man. Oh,
Hmm.
well, what did she do? Oh, she's tricking people. Like I was saying before, it's always a question as to what did they do. The person
Hmm.
is dead. No matter what they did, they shouldn't have died for whatever it was.
Hmm.
So unless they pulled the gun on somebody and the next person pulled the gun on them and it was a battle for each other's life, then fine. But when a person is just killed, most of these girls are just killed because a lot of these boys, they ain't tricking nobody. These men know. But when the reality sets in what they're doing, they got to get rid of the evidence, per se. They got to get rid of the
Wow.
evidence. Because now she could tell on me. She could run around telling people what I did. So they got to get rid of the evidence. They found a transsexual with her entire head cut off. Cut off. And her arms and
Wow.
leg washed up on a beach a year later. Because he completely severed her. But you don't even hear about them when that happens. We
No,
hear
you
about
don't.
it because we are the community. But they don't even
Right.
put that in the news. Or they don't even put that on TV. Or when they do put them on the news or TV, they misgender them. Oh, this man was caught today. Or they'll put their boy name. Oh, Robert Mosley was caught. And you looking at him going, but that don't look like nobody named Robert Mosley.
Right.
Oh, it must be a man. They don't gender them the right way. They don't. Trans women have it the worst out of everybody. Black trans women, and like I really want to get a panel with black women. I want to get a panel with some black women and some black trans women, and I really because white trans women don't go through the stuff black trans women do.
Right.
White women
Right.
just let those white trans live their lives and be happy. Black women tend to have a problem with that. And I
You think
really
it's
want to
black
have a
women
panel.
or is it the
Well,
black men?
I can only speak for no black women. I have seen a lot of black women always. You'll never be me. You'll never this. You'll never that. Blah blah blah. And it's like, but if she walks up and her profile says trans woman, it don't say I'm a woman. They're not sitting there claiming to be real full fledged cis women. They're letting people know this is who I am. They're not hiding anymore like back in the day. They're not trying to live their lives and trick people and fool people. But a lot of times they get into battles with black women because black women, oh well, if I was all plastic, I'd have the perfect body too. And I'm sitting there on some of these panels watching them, and I'm like, why are y'all so threatened by these women that y'all claim are not real? Y'all fighting against Barbie dolls when a Barbie doll ain't real, but you claiming that you got everything real, so you better, but yet you sitting there sounding inferior to people. Like it's bad. Like I've seen panels with trans women and black women because black trans will tell you all the time the most grief they get is from black women,
Okay. Okay.
and it's like, but the white trans don't go through that.
Well, I
White
did
women
see a
don't.
video of a trans woman being attacked. I think it was in
Right.
Georgia in a store. Did you send me that, right?
In the store, and nobody
And
helped her.
and nobody helped her. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, not even a store person helped this person. And I'm thinking, this is horrible.
Yeah. The black trans women get it the worst. Black trans women get it, and they get it worse from black gay men. They get
Wow.
it bad from black gay men, and it's like,
Well, we got to do better as a black community,
period. That's that,
period.
and that was my point. We got to do better as a black community. Period. Forget straight, forget gay, forget trans, forget all of that. As black people, period. Because that's the one thing we all have in common is that
It's
we're
the color
black.
of our skin.
We need to get it together, period.
Yes.
And as a whole, as a community and as a whole.
And you know what, Joe? I mean, me and you have had a really in-depth private conversation, and I must admit to my ignorance of certain things because I had no idea. And the candor that you showed me when, because we talk, and you know, was expressing, I was just like, I think that your voice, you should be advocating because you know what is going on, and these gaps should be bridged in our community because it's always the unknown. You know, you just have this whole whatever you have of a gay man in your mind, right? So then it's just like us, the way that white people have us embedded in their mind, you know, their illusion. We all live in Chicago, we're all thugs, we're drug addicts and all of this. It's almost the same kind of premise with black America when it comes to gay and lesbian people, because what do you have in your mind, or is it even a thought in your mind? Because most people live their life and don't even have an encounter with a gay person or
But see,
knowingly
that's their
openly
ignorance
out.
because most of them always been having encounters with gay people that they just didn't know was gay.
But
That's
that's
the
what I
problem with
mean.
most of
That's
them.
what I mean.
And
Didn't
most of
know
them, the
was
ignorance
gay.
is coming from church. Church put all of that in their mind. Church put all of that in their minds and fed
Says
them
the
that we're
preacher's
going
son.
to hell. Right, says the preacher's son. Says that we're going to hell. It's wrong. It's, you know, I tell people all the time, I said, okay, well, I want you to find in your Bible where Jesus said being gay was a sin. You can't, because every verse in the Bible where it says that you shouldn't sleep with men and all of that did not come from Jesus or God. It came from man. Man said it was an abomination. Man said it shouldn't have been done. But guess what? If Lisa walking on two women having sex and that's not natural to her, she's going to say that's an abomination and it's not natural because that's not what she's used to. But like I try to explain this to people, and because you know me, I don't come at me with the Bible because my daddy a preacher and I done been through all of that, and you know it's just not going. It's not. We did a whole podcast and a whole video on church hurt, and I refuse to allow myself to go backwards with that. I refuse to let people make me feel like something is wrong with me. If I'm going to die and go to hell, then let me worry about that. You ain't got to worry about that for me. Let me deal with that. It's my spirit. It's my soul. You ain't got no heaven or hell to put me in. But that's where the majority of it comes from with black people. It's what has been embedded in their heads. And even like with gay men, I'm like, why are you sitting in a church that's telling you going to hell? You sit there jumping up, screaming and shouting, and on Sunday, as soon as you leave church, you going home to your boyfriend, or you going to the club, and like, but you sat there and just listened to them tell you that your whole life is wrong. But that's the plight of the black gay. We sit in church and we love Jesus and we love God. That's why the best thing I could have ever did was find my church, my all affirming church. And child, I tell you, when we went, because you know Tremel he loves church, and when they said stand up if it's your first time, and Tremel stood up, and you know me, I sat down. Like, you know, and he stood up and he said, "My name is Tremel McRae, and this is my husband Joseph. I like to drop dead." I said, "He did not just say in the middle of the church that I was his husband. They are going to chase us out of here, honey. Fire and brimstone. I like to die." The people started clapping and applauding, touching me, saying, "Congratulations. Oh, that's so beautiful. I like to die." I said, "Am I in the Twilight Zone?"
Because you wasn't used to it.
Ashton Kutcher, where he jumping out and say I'm being punked right now. And like the second time we went, we joined the church because it was just something like when you go in a church full of people like yourself that love God, and you get the pastor is like you, and you're getting a word that's really a word, and you're not being judged, and everybody, as soon as you walk in the door, it's like, oh my God, and they welcoming you, and it's like, oh my God, this is church. This is what church is supposed to be.
Mhm.
And it's like, it was amazing. It was like my church turned my whole Unity Fellowship Church of Newark turned my whole way of thinking around when it came to church.
Is your church predominantly black or is it mixed?
It's predominantly black. It's an all
Okay.
affirming church, and they're all
Okay.
over there. Some in Brooklyn. I think there's one in. I know there's one in D.C. I'm not sure
Mhm.
about Virginia, but I know there's one in
Mhm.
D.C. There's one in Philly,
Mhm.
and it's amazing that you can go to church as a gay person and get a word, and not be made to feel like your life is wrong in any way. There's no judgment on you. You can sit there with your partner or your husband or your wife and be comfortable. It's not like we're gonna sit in church tonguing each other down. Like, who does that?
I know. I
But
think that's like a stereotype when it comes to gay males, right?
right.
So because you gay, everyone assume every male in the room assumes that you it's a sexual thing and that you would be trying to hit on them or something like that. And I think that that's ignorance, right? And I think that that's something when we talk about the division in the black community, I think that that's something that needs to be brought out. We have got to stop, um, like you said, pushing these issues under the rug
But you know
because,
what
like
I
you
found?
said, you can subdue your gayness, but you cannot take your skin off.
Right. And what I found, and a lot of gay men will agree with me, whether they're black, white, it doesn't matter. Most men that have a problem with gay men are not secure in their manhood. Any man, any straight man that can walk in the room and just, what's up, Joe, and talk to me and not be threatened by me, that is a man that is secure in his manhood and knows he is a man. What the ones that walk in the room, what that F word doing here? Oh my God, look at how he moves. Look at how he walks. Oh my God, do we really have to stay here with him? Those are the ones, when you leave them in the room with me by themselves, be the first one. Oh, so what them lips do? Those be the first ones. All the time. The ones that have the biggest problems with us are the first ones when the doors are closed and we left alone that we can do whatever we want. But
I'm
they
laughing
also the
because I
ones,
remember when you proved that to me
right?
one day.
They also the ones
I remember that.
that will be the
I
ones
was
to kill me afterwards because now I got a secret on them. So now they want to kill me after the fact because now I done got them to do something that they've been dying to do for the longest, but now I was the one to bring it out in them. So now they got to get rid of me because what if I go tell somebody? See, it's a whole web that's weaved when a lot of black men, DL men, deal with gay people. And that people don't realize it's
down
always
low, man.
what the gay person did. But a lot of times, you know how many times, Lisa, when I lived in the hood, after the fact, boys told me they should kill me, they should shoot me because
I
I
remember you.
made them do stuff. I
I
didn't make
remember
them
you
do it.
telling
You
me
did
that.
what you wanted to do because you
Hmm.
wanted to do it. But that's the way their mind thinks because at the end of the day, they don't want to give into what they feel.
Right.
But now all of a sudden you gave into what you felt. It's never men that are comfortable. I mean, you've seen the difference when me and Omar was around. You've seen the dudes that didn't have a problem with talking to us, standing there
No.
laughing and joking with us.
No.
Those are
Yeah.
the ones that are comfortable in their skin. The
Right.
ones that stood back and was like, look at them.
Hmm.
Trust and believe they were the first ones that if they was left in the room with me and Omar, we could have had them up.
Hmm.
It's always that way. Always that way. And I try to tell people all the time, the ones that act like they have the big, how do you have a problem with something or somebody that has never done anything to you?
Right.
Never done anything to you.
Right.
So
Our plight is big, bro.
it's real big.
But
It's
I think
bigger
that
than
you have something to add. I mean, I just think that the way that you express your lifestyle and the way that you express yourself and just education is the key. Education is always the key.
true.
I think you need to be on one of my panels.
I'll do it whenever you want me to. You know that.
Yeah, because I think that education is the key. If we to answer one of the persons in the chat, what does unity look like? That's what it looks like. Educating. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
getting like-minded people who are going, because like you said, the LGBT LGBTQ plight is your plight is a small minute, but your Black Lives Matter plight is a big plight.
Right.
So if we can get past that and start unifying us to go in the same direction and we have the same goals, then we would be a force to be reckoned with, right?
Yep.
If we could just get past all of these minute things that divide us,
Right.
because they're small in comparison.
Right. And it's like I said, is if we felt like we know that Black Lives Matter is not going to turn us away. We know that because at the end of the day we're black.
Right.
But at the same time, like we out there fighting for Brianna Taylor. Let's say one of our gay brothers and sisters get killed, it's not going to be the same thing, especially when they find out that they're gay or lesbian.
But it should be, but you should be the
Exactly. That's
one.
the
But
point. It
see,
should be
this
the
is the
same
this is
thing.
where see, and this is where you and your community come in, because you should be advocating for your trans brother and sister, and we have no choice but to latch on. If you say, hey, one of my trans sisters have a problem, and it's racial or is biased, can you partner with us? We should be able to do that, and I don't think that we would not be able to do that, but I don't think that our education on the level or the amount of trans women that are abused is because it's most people get their news from the news, right? So if we're not in the LGBT community, then we don't know, or we just hear it but don't take the time to find out.
I'm going to put you on to somebody on Facebook that can really, really educate you on black trans women and the plight that they go through. Because she's an activist, and she actually does a lot of work out of DC to help black trans women. And I think her on your platform to explain things will do a lot of help for people. I'll let you know all the information once we get off here.
Okay.
Only because when it comes to trans, I don't feel like, I mean, I can talk to it from a degree of knowing that they get killed and that black men don't really stand up for them. But I think she can talk from it from a perspective because she is. And I always feel you can have a better conversation with somebody
who's
than
living
somebody
it.
who's just speculating what it is. And like for me, I can talk to you all day long about being a black gay man, but I can't talk to you about being a black trans woman.
I
I'm
can
not a black
respect
trans
that.
woman. You know what I'm saying? But she will definitely give you an insight and really put things into perspective for you on that avenue, so you can really see how bad it really is. Because it's bad. It's really bad. It's really bad for them.
Wow.
And I would like for you to talk to her and get with her and really talk to her on that. And like she share her story. I know another trans woman that'll talk to you, and she'll tell you how she grew up in, she's like our age, and how prostitution was the only way she could survive because she couldn't get a real job back then. Now she's a business owner. She has her own money. She has her own company. But it took years of that. But if people judged her based on what she had to do to get there, she would have never been who she is today. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Wow. Well, I know that you educated me tonight. I know that you've educated me in the past. Um, and I feel like unity looks like education, and it
It
looks
looks like
like
this. It looks like people coming together and having a conversation.
and really listening, because we have the white man literally with their knee on our neck. We don't have time for these divisiveness. We don't have time for these little minute things that divide us.
Right.
We have to come together in order to succeed, in order to be seen as an equal. in order to get equity, in order to get reparations, in order, because all of that does not transcend into your sexual orientation or your anything else.
Right.
So I mean, I think that we have to start with ourselves, and we have to start knocking down some of these barriers, because it's just ridiculous, the crab in the barrel. And listen, everybody is not going to be on board, but we have to latch with people that is going the same way that we going, and keep it moving, because everybody ain't going to ride.
But you know what? If we talk to 10 people and we get 7 that ride with us, that's all that we need.
That's what I'm saying. And then as the train keep on moving, you pick up 7 more, you pick up 5 more, and it becomes a point where when we start making these, because I'm just so with this Brianna Taylor thing, I just don't even want to talk about. But we are making some strides, right? But
Right.
crumbs are not good enough. Nelson Mandela said, crumbs will never equal freedom. But
Right.
that's what the United States keeps giving us, is little trinkets and a little crumbs and a little this and a little that. So we have to start looking into group economics. We have to start looking into doing things for ourselves, because I just don't see the United States changing any systemic, any tangible, any real things in this lifetime. I do hope, I do pray, but
The only thing that honestly that I see giving us hope for a better future is that the millennials ain't buying into the stuff that the
that's
older
true.
ones of us are doing.
And
That I
Generation
always
Z,
say that I always say I see a brighter future because the millennials ain't buying into all of that.
they
They're
not.
not buying into being separate. They're not buying into black people don't belong here and we all one. A lot of them are believing into we are all one and we should all be treated the same. And they don't. I mean, granted, I think it's bad that they don't want to hear about our history, but in the same part, it won't taint them as much as it tainted us by knowing our history. So we were already tainted once we saw Roots and went to school the next day. We was ready to fight everybody white that we saw because of what we saw. And they don't want to know that. They don't care about that, which they should care about their history, but at the same time, it's not
But
tainting them the way it tainted us.
I think
And to
that
knowing,
my nieces and my nephews and my close circles with millennials and Generation Z, they know the history, but they don't agree with how we handle it. So
right.
they don't agree with like conforming. They don't agree with, marching and getting along. They are the radicals. You say that curfew was at 8, they're going to be out there to 9 and 10.
Right.
They are the opposite of what we would be thinking, because they were like, you marched and it ain't getting you nowhere. It's not getting you
Right.
anywhere. You've done this and it's not, we haven't moved since the civil rights movement. And I listen to them all the time, because they are the next generation. And even though their ideals are a little on the radical side,
Right.
it is what it is.
Well, y'all, if y'all have more questions, you can put them in the chat. If not, me and Lisa will have you on here all night talking. Like we
Right.
on the phone. Like we on the phone. So Lisa, type your cash app into the chat. Y'all, if you can, bless Lisa for coming on here and giving y'all a good word tonight. If you can. She's about to put her cash app in the chat.
Ooh, we could be here all day.
We'll be here all day. Like when we on the phone.
Like when we on the phone, like we about to be after we hang up.
On the phone.
Okay, I think I'm putting it in there.
I'll tell you when I can see it.
Oh, okay. You so bossy.
When am I not?
Gosh. Okay.
Yes, y'all, and get ready because at 10:30 Mr. Up Close and Personal is coming on. I don't know what his topic is
Tramel.
going to be. I don't know what his topic is going to be. There's her Cash App in the chat. If y'all can, bless my sister.
I thank you for having me. It was so good. I learned a lot.
I learned a lot too. It was an
Thank you,
education for you.
audience. It
Y'all,
was good.
you, my audience is the best audience on YouTube.
I
Give it
see.
out
Well,
because they are the best audience on YouTube. My subscribers are the best subscribers on YouTube. I have to give that to them.
look, my host is on here. You see it say two mics up. He says, "Give me a tangible plan that can move the black community to work together."
Okay, up close and personal is rescheduled for tomorrow, as y'all see
Okay.
in the chat. He must be frying my chicken. That's why Joe Mel left him out of the room. Because he goes
Oh,
wherever
okay.
there's food.
Oh, I know that's right. I think the tangible plan, Dame, as you know, we've discussed, the tangible plan for people to work together is basically align yourself with any group or organization that agrees with what you agree with, that has your issues in mind. If you don't find one, do what I did. I started my own organization because I'm not shading no other organization, but I don't have time for politics when it's time to fight. Like, you can't say this, you can't do this. They have to make sure that you are able to go to this march because of this or that. And I didn't want to be held down by that. So I started my own organization. But it tangibly, we can help each other by just being there and helping each other and doing for ourselves. Group economics, I think, is the best way. You see how you pool in to get your susu, or you pool in for a savings plan. You can actually do that to help other people in your neighborhood. To, if somebody, let's say like you, Joe, you say, I want to start my own organization and I need to have a grant of $700 or $800 to get a 501(c)(3) so I could be a nonprofit organization. Group economics shows us that if you are in the right circle, in the right group, or come to an organization like mine, and this is something after you are vetted and you're serious about it, then this is something where we will help you get a grant, or we'll raise the money for you. Because why do we keep going to other people to do things that we can do ourselves? You know how much money we are? $1 trillion. We spend $1 trillion in this economy. 1 trillion.
And actually, you just gave me information because me and Tramel are motivational speakers. And someone just told us the other day we needed to start a nonprofit organization for that, and we didn't know the first way to do it. And you just told me. So you need to
And
get
I
this out
have
there.
people that I can put you. This is what converse. And I have someone that I could put you in touch with that can help you, to and give you the ins and out of what it is to be a nonprofit. You understand? So this is how you bridge gaps. This is how you unify. This is how you help one teach one. You pull up. Because if you are helping your community, if you feeding your community, if you making sure that these kids who say, Mr. Joseph or Miss Elisa, I was in this program, but my mom doesn't have the money for me to go to tech school or to take this trip for the summer, and it's $1,200. Why do we have to say no, or have the mom be stressed out because she can't afford it? It should be, if it's a tangible, reliable, really a serious plan that this person wants and they can't get it. Why are we not taking care of our own? Why are we not teaching people how easy it is to buy a house? right? We thinking, me personally, coming from the projects, I always thought a house was out of my reach. I always thought that you needed all of this money to purchase a house. I thought, oh, because what was implanted in my head was, oh, you're not going to have no maintenance. Something break, you got to fix it yourself. Everything is so expensive when you have a house. And that is simply not true. Home ownership is the way to equity. We have people that me and my host have interviewed and partnered with. These ladies, they are phenomenal. They're real estate agents, and on my podcast, Two Mics Up, if you go back and you subscribe and you go back and you listen to them, they tell you exactly how easy it is. People think that us
Well,
black people.
I'm going to look at that because up here there is a house that me and Tramel want, and I don't care what nobody say. That's my house. It has been on the market for a long period of time, and that's because every time I drive past, I say, Lord, don't let that house sell because it's mine, unless you got something better for me. Because I'll take better. I ain't gonna block my big blessing by saying that's what I want. I want that, but if you got something bigger and better for me, I'll take the bigger and better too.
Right.
But I love the house because it just puts me in the mind of the Brady Bunch house. And that house is not sold yet, and we sitting here trying to figure out a way that we could do it. And listening to you, I'm like, well, Lisa make it sound like it's simple. Because I'm like, I'm like, but I need a big down payment. We need this. We need that.
There are homeowner programs. There are first-time homeowner programs. I purchased my house 4 years ago. My house came out of an unfortunate incident, and I was looking for an apartment. And my niece pulled me to the side and was like, "It's time for you to buy." And I was like, "I can't afford no house."
Yes, honey, I know. There was Michelle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's very Michelle.
Yes. And I'm like, I can't afford no house. Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? I'm not married. I have a one income. What if something goes wrong? Because these are the things that I had already in my head. So I was already a perpetual renter. So not knowing, she put me in touch with this beautiful realtor who hooked me up with someone else for as the payment, the financing, and I qualified. I had no idea I qualified for this Virginia housing first time home owners thing. Joe, I bought my house out of pocket $1,000.
See, I can do that.
But that's what I'm saying. It just depends on the programs, and um we're not we're not in tune to these things because we've been left out of that kind of market. We've been left out of the housing and buying houses and equity and all of these things because that is how we gain wealth.
Right. Lisa,
Right.
quick question. I think Love Kings, you can find her podcast on the same places you can find me and Tramel on Spotify.
Love Kings.
Yeah, the Love Kings. They want to know where they can find your podcast.
Oh, my podcast is Two Mics Up. It is available on Spotify, Anchor, Google Cast, Apple Cast, wherever you listen
Same
to a
places
podcast.
you find me and Tramel. And her partner is in the chat, so just type Two Mics Up.
Dane.
So the same place you listen to me and Tramel, you can listen to her. You can listen to her on the same podcast because they love me and Tramel's podcast. So trust me, they gonna listen to y'all. Because he already put in the chat he love you.
Who's that? I love you too.
They already said they love you. See, y'all know I only know good people. I only know people like me. I try to tell y'all that.
But these are the things that we need to share, right? These are the things that we left out on. This is what it looks like when you have people that's not going to hoard the information because they don't want you to know how you could be just as up as they are. You know what I mean?
Right. But yes, I'm definitely going to hit you back for, well, you probably can tell me a little bit about the housing, but because I'm upstate New York, it's a whole different ball game.
It is.
But it's similar but different. Because I know my cousin is a real estate agent, and she told me she would help me as best she could being a real estate agent in New Jersey.
Okay.
And so, Lisa, thank you.
You welcome. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I love you.
I love you too. And
I
y'all,
know.
tell them again where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook at ALISA Middleton, or the United Black Council. Same on Instagram. And our podcast is Two Mics Up. That is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And is it how it is in the chat? MIC or
Yep.
MICKE?
No, MIC. Two
Okay.
mics. Two mics up.
I'm, because you got the people that need all the information.
Okay. It's my. Oh yeah, he put it in there. He put it in there.
And if, like I said, if y'all can bless my sister, her Cash App is in the chat. Bless her with a little something. Y'all don't have to bless me today. Y'all did that last night when y'all wanted to see me and Tramel singing. So
ooh, I should have tuned into that.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. You gotta watch it. It's
I will go back and watch it.
Go back on our thing. It says verses, and you see a picture of me and Tramel.
I'm scared.
No, it was honestly, Lisa, you are gonna pee your clothes. It was so fun, especially when we get to the good times thing. When we get
did
to
y'all sing Good Times?
Yes.
Okay, so did you get the line? Did you get the correct line?
No. That's the thing. That's the funny part. We were saying playing in the gutter, laying in the shower, sleeping in the chapel. Chilling in the child line. Oh my God, it was so hysterical. It was hysterical.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch that.
You're gonna laugh.
I didn't want to be a part of it. They made me.
They made you, Tramel.
They made me. Hey everybody.
You see, when he was flirting with Bugs Gutter, I didn't come in the room, right? When he was sitting here flirting with Bugs
Do I
Gutter.
need to go find something?
What, your hammer? It should be right there.
I'm gonna go now. Look, I'm gonna go now.
Right, because you're gonna be the lead. You're gonna be the only witness to his untimely murder.
I love you guys.
No, I enjoyed y'all show. I really did. I enjoyed it. I thought it was so informative. I hope everybody got a whole bunch out of it. I hope everybody has something to ponder over this weekend. Guys, you got to get out and vote. We got to unify. We got to stop throwing each other under the bus. We got to maintain our loyalty to one another, and especially in our communities. Communities, we got to come together as a people.
Yes. Absolutely.
And on that note, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. It was fun.
You're ready for me. I'll be there for you. You was there
okay.
For me.
I sure will.
And I'm gonna still give you that trans woman I was talking about, her information.
Yes, please do.
I know she'll do a platform with you. And I know she'll do a thing with you and educate you guys and what have you. And thank you all for coming by for Joseph's Friend. You know when I rant, it's always a good time.
Right.
And you know how I end every show. Walk in love, peace, sunshine, and happiness. And always remember, it's Team McRae. All damn day. Later, y'all.
Bye, Joe.
Bye.